Speaking of tuning up things, Kirby Smart 2.0 has arrived, folks. And what I'm telling you is Kirby Smart has always had this kind of angst with the media. There's been a lot of, I'm going to be very guarded. I'm going to be very short, almost, Saban like struggle back and forth with the media of not just being open and seeming comfortable and seeming, ticked off all the time when he's in there in press conferences, giving short answers at times, things like that. But you've started to see a shift in Kirby Smart about who he is, and he's comfortable at the top. There's a big difference between comfortable and complacent. By no means is Kirby Smart complacent, but he is becoming comfortable. And what I mean there is he is able to go into these meetings now, and if somebody asks a question about an injury, he'll just tell them, because he knows that he's got the type of team that if one guy is down or one guy has this going on, he doesn't have to just totally play games. Now, I'm sure there's some guys a key injury, if it was to a quarterback or something along those lines, or maybe the best player on his defense or things like that, he may say, hey, we don't know, we'll see. But he just came out flat the other day and said, hey, we'll tell you if something's going on. He goes, I would be in favor of there being a protocol where we have to give you injury news just like there is in the pros and things like that. All of that is, and people were asking questions about bringing in the injury stuff, because of the trend of players being involved in like gambling things, all this kind of stuff. Kirby wants to be transparent with that stuff, but he's got to see the other, the NCAA or the SEC or however they want to do it, handle it in that way. He's getting more and more comfortable with that kind of information, that kind of talk, more forthright with it. But also, when you talk about Kirby Smart and you talk about Georgia and what they're doing after having won back-to-back championships, Kirby knows, hey, I have a staff, and he has actually said this, I have a staff that I have been able to retain for a long time. Kirby has been able to retain a lot of those key coaches there on that staff, has a lot of continuity and guys that he trusts, particularly Dell McGee, Glenn Schumann, and Todd Hartley. The tight end coach in Hartley is co-defensive coordinator and inside linebacker coach, and Glenn Schumann, who's been with him since day one. Dell McGee's been with him since day one, running backs coach, assistant head coach. So they've got a lot of belief in those guys. And Kirby, now in his 8th year at Georgia, is able to delegate more. They said he's able to spend more time with his family, all that kind of stuff. And I think that brings less stress. I think that brings less anxiety, less angst, less, irritability, things like that, when you're getting to enjoy life a little bit more. By no means is Georgia taking their foot off the accelerator, especially in the pursuit of a 3rd straight national championship. But I just think it's clear, if you look at the interactions with Kirby Smart and the media, particularly after this whole saga with the AJC and how things have kind of became contentious with the Georgia off-field troubles and things of that nature, it kind of forces you to reevaluate, okay, how am I going to be with the media, particularly when something bad happens. It helps if there's a certain relationship there and things like that. You can talk civilly to people and have a certain decorum and a certain rapport with those groups of people. So I just think you're seeing a more comfortable Kirby Smart, even with assessing his own players. He does not care one bit what anybody says about what they thought Carson Beck looked like, his offense looked like, things like that, because he's not worried about what Georgia goes out there and looks like aesthetically versus a UT Martin or versus a Ball State this week. He's worried about a process and worried about getting his team ready for a run that he knows is coming later in the season. You hear guys who are process-oriented talk this way. Saban talks this way. Heck, Deion Sanders was talking this way in his press conference. He's talking about, knowing that there's a run coming at the end, and making sure certain players' bodies are prepared and things like that for the end, and holding them out for their own good, and just being very transparent with the media. I think you're starting to see influences of this all across college football. Heck, even Saban pretty much apologized to a reporter there yesterday in his press conference, saying, you know what? You did not ask a bad question about Jalen Milroe on Saturday. I responded poorly. So I think you're seeing a concerted effort with some of these coaches who are having success, particularly Kirby Smart, to, be a little bit different guy when it comes to media interaction, when it comes to transparency, when it comes to, delegating to coaches, not being so as uptight, things like that. So I think you're starting to see a little bit of a transformation, if you will, on that. And I think it's going to be something that pays dividends for a Georgia program that already has had a ton of success. And I think it'll continue to, as the team sees, hey, our leader is confident in us. Our leader is saying when we do good things out there, like he was straight up saying, listen, Carson Beck played great. He handled the game great. He did this and that. He tells the media why maybe their perception of something is different than the coach's perception of something. He will also call out players who didn't give great effort, or maybe weren't consistent. Michael Morris, a backup guard, he said, hey, he's not playing as well as I think he should play, not as consistently, things of that nature. So that comes when you're a head coach that has complete control of a program and knows that you can send a message to your players and send a message throughout the program about what you say to the media. And I think it's a new 2.0 Kirby Smart, if you will, when it comes to handling things of that nature.